When did you start creating the voice characters, the characters? Because I don't know the proper way to phrase it, because when I hear you do a character, it's a fully fleshed out thing.
Oh, thank you. I can thank speech for that. I mean, obviously theater as well.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
when I would compete in speech and debate, I would do humorous interp a lot, which means it would just be me by myself competing with a bunch of people doing humorous things. And you would take a script and cut it down to about 10 minutes. And I was always very ambitious with my pieces. One year I did Alice in Wonderland and did all of the characters. The Mad Hatter, the March Hare, the Queen of Hearts, the Tweedledum, Tweedledee, Alice, the White Rabbit. I mean, I was doing all of them. Like, and wait, you know, like with a twitch, and then like I did the Dormouse was my favorite. Like, twinkle twinkle little bat, how I wonder where you're at. You know, and Alice, Curiousa and Curiousa. You know, but it was like one of those things where you would pop into the characters really fast.
Yeah, yeah.
And the piece itself wasn't funny. In fact, all the ballots I would get back would be like, your piece isn't funny, get another piece, first place. And they'd always give me first place. And it was because a lot of it was because of the voices I would do. And I would just pop into the characters and like, you know, I don't know. And so I would do all the voices and mimic all the voices. And so theater and speech was a big reason of why I got into doing voiceover later in life, because I was doing a play, a 1920s radio play that was in front of a live audience, and all the actors in it were voiceover actors, and they all looked at me and go, "Why aren't you doing voiceover? What?
You should be here."
And I was like, "I don't know. What's that? What's it? Is that a job?" And then they helped me.
I can get paid to do that?
Yeah, I can get paid to do voices.
I'm in.
I love doing like little kids and stuff, like way up here. Super fun. And then I love doing old ladies. Oh my goodness. I can't hear you very well, but there's something in my ear.
You're a triple threat.
Yeah, I can be an old lady and a little boy. What?
That works.
So, yeah, I see a comment in the chat. Jack put the name of it, Tales of the Extraordinary. It's a podcast you can actually listen to. It's called Tales of the Extraordinary, but we did all of the recording in front of a live audience, and then the audience would do the sound effects. And then later they would edit in the real sound effects later. But like, you know, someone would hold up a cue card and would be like gunshot, you know, door opening, you know, laughter, you know, and like, so the audience was our sound effects, and it was a lot of fun.
I think I want to hear that version than the sound effects put in.
Right. It was a little extra chaotic. And then we would get suggestions from the audience and improvise commercials from their suggestions. It was beautiful. It was a very, very fun show.
So back to the voice acting thing, a lot of people think that if they can do somebody else's character or do an impersonation of somebody, that they should be a voice actor. I know that's not true.
Yeah. So here's the thing: when people tell me that, they're like, "Oh, I do a really good SpongeBob, or I can do a great Mickey Mouse." I'm like, "Great! Someone already has that job, and they're not going to be getting rid of it anytime soon." You can do great impressions. That's great. That's great TikTok material. When you're doing voiceover as a career, you need to be able to create original characters. So yes, if you can do a SpongeBob, great, but they don't want a SpongeBob voice. They want this character's voice. So change it up. Give it a stuffy nose and maybe change the tonality a little bit, you know, and then it becomes a whole other original voice. And also people who can't do voices can still do voiceover. For example, if I just talked in my normal voice and lowered the energy and kind of went down a little, this is a character. And then if I'm getting really excited and I talk really fast, and this is just my normal speaking voice, and I'm getting really excited and I'm in your face, that's a whole different other character there. But I'm just using my own voice. I mean, grant you, I want to punch up those characters a little more, but there's so many voices you can do without doing voices. It's all about pitch and speed and dynamics.
And feeling, like, what's that person
Feeling.
even feeling? Are they scared? Are they, yeah.
And that's another big thing about voice acting is a lot of people can do voices, but can they voice act? There's some incredible
Right.
actors who then get cast as an animated character or a video game character and are terrible. And I hate to throw him under the bus. Peter Dinklage is a perfect example. He's such a good actor. He's one of my favorites. He's so good. And then they used him for a video game. I can't remember what the name of the game, but he was like one of the lead characters. And it was just not great that it wasn't great that they had to pull the game and recast and
Oh,
recast with a voiceover actor because it just was falling flat. And it's a big difference between theater acting, on-screen acting, voice acting. They're all different things, and I adjust myself in whatever I'm doing. You can't rely on your face or your physicality in voice acting because it's all about this, nothing else.
yeah. How do you keep when you like? I've heard you do 30, 40, 50 voices just in researching you. How do you keep them straight? If you go back to a job 10 years later and you're like, can you do so and so? How do you do you have to listen to yourself doing it, or do you have a catalog you could go to?
I do. I'm currently recording a project that I'm playing like a bunch of different characters, like 3 or 4 characters. Won't tell you what it is because it's NDA, but excited for when it comes out because it's a kid's show that my nephew can watch. Anyway, so I'm playing multiple characters, and every time we have a session, I'm like, can you play this character back for me? I don't remember what I do. Okay. So they always play like a line or two of reference to kind of jog my memory back. And then I can, jump right in. And that way I don't get the voices mixed up. I can make sure I'm consistent and not, messing up anything.
I was always curious about that. I'm like, how do you go back? Like, it's been years, and then somebody like you're at a con and somebody's, can you do the voices? And you're like, I don't know.
That was my fear with Rainbow Mika, because when I first did her, I was having vocal issues, and I got cast as Rainbow Mika in Street Fighter, and her voice is totally cool, very gruff, because she's a wrestler, and whoa, like so much energy, and she's a very fun character to voice. But then I had vocal surgery, and I was like, oh gosh, if my voice completely changes, or if I can't do this again, because I have a lot of texture to my voice. And if I lose all of that texture, she's not going to sound the same. And then they brought me back in for some downloadable content, a few years later, back, in 2018 or something like that. And I was like, oh gosh, can I do it? And the answer is yes, I can.
But yes, you can.
Yeah. Street Fighter 5, fun times.
Wait, we had a comment. I don't know if you saw it. Somebody wants her back.
Oh, I wish they would bring her in Street Fighter 6. Trust me, I would love that too. I would love to be employed by Capcom again. Please, if you're watching Capcom, Mr. Capcom, give me a call.
Old man Capcom. He always watches the show.
Excuse me, Mr. Capcom.
Get in here. I have a question from a Redditor, our Gonzo. She does a ton of live work, it seems. Curious if she feels the loss of an audience when doing VO work.
Ooh, it is something different, because I love performing in front of a live audience. There's nothing like that instant gratification of applause or laugh. Like getting that laugh live is so invigorating. Voiceovers, you second guess yourself. I get in my own head a lot. And so I'll start doing a line and it'll sound wrong to me. And I'll do it like 4 or 5 different ways. And the director's like, Bonnie, that's good. Bonnie, stop. Bonnie, cut. And I'm like, wait, I can do it better. And then you just get into your own head that you want that perfect take. And a lot of the time with voiceover, we're recording by ourselves. So we don't get that like back and forth with another actor. If it's a conversation, we're having to like, if it's anime dubbing, we have to go line by line and match the flaps. It's a lot more, I would say it's not as gratifying, because it is. It's such fun. I love doing voiceover work, but it's definitely different. You can never, it's like apples and oranges. It's hard to compare the two, of doing something live or, on camera with a crew and actors that you're interacting with, and then doing VO where you're just by yourself most of the time in a booth with no air ventilation.
Yeah, I wondered if there was more freedom in it because Mark Hamill, like, apparently for the longest time would never let anybody see him doing the Joker because he didn't like to be seen like with the way he'd have to contort himself or something to do it.
Oh, I'm
And
sure.
now he's a little more open with it, but I remember he originally was like nobody gets to see him do it. Like that so he had more
That's pretty
freedom when he
cool.
was alone in a booth. And so
Shut
that's
up,
why
Holly. Yeah. I love that.
when I found out it
I've
was him.
broken a lamp. I think it was recording Street Fighter. I get very like, ha, 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 and I get very physical with my arms while I'm doing things like that, like, ha! And I think I knocked a lamp or something, and it broke, and I was like, I'm so sorry. And then the next session I came in for, like, everything was cleared out of the room. I was like, oh, wow. I mean, whoops.
I'm going to get to Star Trek in a bit here, but this touches on a question with both of them. I saw in the interview that you did the voice of the ship's computer at home during 2020. So you were really alone, and you didn't have the vocal like cues, the flaps. How did it feel?
Well, it's sad because I was lucky enough to get called in to for Star Trek Prodigy initially to do the scratch voice for Gwen. So I went into Nickelodeon, and it was March of 2020. I went into Nickelodeon and I was recording the dialogue for the pilot for the character of Gwen, and we all got ding 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 dings on our phones of like state emergency alerts, and it was basically like lockdown happening Monday, starting Monday, March 15th, lockdown. And we're all just like joking, like, okay, what's okay? We'll see you in 2 weeks, And then 2 weeks came and went, and we're all still in lockdown. So that's when they said, okay, Bonnie, let's hear what you have what's your setup at home. So it was a lot of me going like, red alert, unable to comply, access granted. So you can hear like I'm right next to my mic for those.
Right in it.
Yeah. But when there was no, with the computer, there was no flap I had to match or anything like that. But it was more about timing because my voice was usually having, to say something while the other characters are interacting or, phasers initiated. And they're like, oh no, phasers. But no, I was a huge Star Trek fan. I was a part of a, Star Trek TTRPG show before. So I pulled every string I could to audition for Prodigy. And I mean, yes, it was a very different type of show because we had to record during COVID, but my goodness, what a dream team. And I'm so honored to still, season 2 should be coming out hopefully soon.
And somewhere besides France.
Yeah, I know. I was like, what's happening? We were all very shocked about that. No one knew about that, but hopefully it comes out soon because season 2, I can tell you, is so good. And we get Picardo. We get the doctor.
By the way, you are a dream interview for me. And Picardo is number 2.
He's
I
wonderful.
really want to interview him. I've his back library of stuff way before Star Trek, like his he was on Columbo. He was like
he was on
the very
everything.
shows he's been on and done. I want to talk with him and just dive in. He's fascinated me the whole time.
What I love about the actors I've met through Star Trek, first of all, they're all incredibly wonderful and have been so welcoming to me. Because in the grand scheme of things, when it comes to, Star Trek characters, I'm pretty bottom of the totem pole. I'm a ship computer on an animated show. I play other characters as well, but that's what I'm mostly known for. But they've all just been so welcoming, and Picardo being one of them, and he also is a singer. We just did a convention in Philly where we sang with a band called the Roddenberries, and he got up and did a few songs and was going to leave right after, but he stayed so he could watch a few of my songs, which he did not have to do that. I mean, he was out the door, but he snuck in the back and watched. And that just meant the world to me that he wanted to, see some of my set. So he's just they're all just so wonderful. I just, and I hate to be just like name dropping, but it's just like, all of them. Terry Farrell, I just got to spend time with her, and she's just as lovely as you would think. All of them are wonderful. John Billingsley and I get into a lot of trouble. I help him. I co-host the Trek Talks charity event that he does for the Hollywood Food Coalition. Dominic and Connor are amazing from Enterprise. I mean, all of them have just been so great.
I love hearing your story because I hear so many Star Trek actor stories of, I never really liked Star Trek. I never was into it. I was more of a, and then they become a Star Trek actor, and then they become a fan or a fan of the fandom. You're the opposite.
I became a fan later in life, though. It wasn't like something I grew up. It was from Star Trek: The Experience in Vegas. And then later down the line, I also did a rewatch of everything. Because when I was working The Experience, I only watched a lot of Next Gen.
TNG, yeah.
And not a lot of Voyager or DS9. So later in life, I was like, you know what? I'm doing this right. And I went back and did a complete rewatch from the original series all the way through. And I kind of want to do it again, even though it's such an ambitious thing. I do
it every couple years.
It's so
I
much.
do Stargate too.
There's
Stargate's
so much content
as well.
Oh, yeah. Stargate's another one. But because they keep coming up in your shows, I'm like, all right, everyone slow down. Slow down. My dream is to one day be an on-camera role for.
You're gonna get there.
For Star Trek.
They're gonna stop taking your ideas and making Tillies, and they're just gonna start doing Bonnies.
Well, it's funny because when Discovery came out, I was on that TTRPG show, Shield of Tomorrow, and my character on there, Lark Sage, is very similar to Ensign Tilly. Just the quirky redhead, like engineer genius, socially awkward, hacking into whatever system she can.
How are you in Starfleet? Sort of thing,
Well, exactly. And I was shocked when Discovery came out and that character came out, and I was like, oh no, a quirky, curvy redhead. My career is over. But I'll just
I wanted to talk with you about your initiation into Star Trek was the Las Vegas experience.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I want to bring it up is I saw that show. I was there for, I don't know
what year.
It was early. Because my wife went with me, and that's when she became a Star Trek fan.
Look at that.
Going through the museum and then doing the thing, and the
cool.
Ferengi scared the hell out of her because
I'm still friends with a lot of those actors. The main Ferengi guy's name was Jared. He was so funny. I still keep in touch with them every now and then. But yeah, all of them were just so good.
It was an amazing show. I'm going back to Vegas in a couple weeks, and I'm sad I can't go.
I know.
I know it's been gone for a while, but
if you go to the Westgate, which was the hotel, it used to be the Hilton, but now it's called the Westgate.
That's what I saw. I saw it in the Hilton.
If you go to the Westgate, aka the hotel previously known as Hilton, there is still, like, if you do their timeshare conversation, it's all like space themed. There's still the warp core still there. It looks like the promenade. Like, you walk in there, they didn't take any of it down. I mean, it's been a few years. Maybe they remodeled it since. But what? It was crazy. I snuck in there and I was like, oh my gosh, there's the warp core. There's this, there's that. Yeah, they kept it all. Like, they just didn't get rid of it.
So you guys changed lives just doing that show. She became a Star Trek fan. She is to this day.
It made me a Star Trek fan.
She was a big Voyager fan from that point on, and then throughout the various episodes and whatever. So I think whenever I found out that's where you got your start, I was a child. I watched Star Trek with my parents. I'm that Star Trek fan.
Here's my Star Trek: The Experience poster right there. You can see it. It's the closing cast. It's all the actors from Star Trek: The Experience. It's apparently, hold on.
It was a fantastic show, and I as a fan, being on the bridge of the Enterprise was just amazing.
Oh yeah.
But I thought the beam up effect was the best. Like,
I know how
it
it's
felt
done.
like I was beamed. Well, I have an idea.
I mean, I think I'm pretty sure there's like a video somewhere showing how it's done, but it was really cool.
They
like that vacuum effect. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I loved it.
For anyone who's curious, go watch a video of Star Trek: The Experience on YouTube.
Watch them all. There's a whole communities out there of fans. Mm-hmm. There's videos. There's lots of videos. And I'm glad it still lives in some form, because I think it's part of Star Trek history that existed and was that good.
I wish there was a video. I don't think there's a video of me doing it ever. I was only there for the closing year. And I've looked through videos and I've never seen myself on it.
We could put a bounty out for it.
I am during the closing ceremonies when we're all walking down the red carpet one by one. you can hear, Bonnie Gordon, and I'm walking down, and a friend of mine in the audience is like, Bonnie. I'm like, hey, there's that person.
Hi,
Hi friend.